Okay, so we're going to take some time now to talk about cartilage. Okay? So how does cartilage relate to the skeletal system? Well, of course, cartilage is an intimate part of your skeletal system, just like the bone is. So just to start with, let's remind ourselves what cartilage is. Remember, it's a mix of ground substance, and it's always got fibers embedded into it. Kind of like if you want to make concrete strong, you put steel reinforcement bars into it. And so cartilage gains much of its strength from fibers that are embedded into the structure of the cartilage. You remember that we've already learned there are 3 types of cartilage, and of course the different types of fibers that are found in the cartilage determine which type of cartilage it is. Elastic cartilage has elastic fibers. So hopefully you remember that. We'll go over that in a few minutes just to be sure. Now here's the interesting thing about cartilage. One of the ways to really understand cartilage is to compare it with what we already know about bone. And you know that when we studied bone, that we said there were 3 types of cells that were very busy, very active. Here there are only 2 types of cells. Only 2 types of cartilage cells. So let's talk about those. First we have chondroblasts. Now you ought to be able to figure out that one, right? What do chondroblasts do you think? They create cartilage, right? Right? And notice that chondro word. You know osteo means bone, right? Yeah. Chondro, whenever you see chondro in a word, you know that we're looking at cartilage. The word has something to do with cartilage if it's got chondro in it. So chondroblasts, like osteoblasts, are the cells that produce the ground substance, the matrix. But there are also going to be fibroblasts. What do fibroblasts make? Fibers, right? They're going to make collagen or elastic fibers to be added to the matrix. So, but the cartilage cells themselves will be the chondroblasts. Fibroblasts are active here, but fibroblasts are always also active in the various proper types of connective tissues also. The chondroblasts do not have cellular processes. If you remember our study here when we were looking at the various types of tissues, right? Cartilage cells don't have these little protoplasmic extensions. They're just these round little cells down inside the matrix. Or actually, the cells here that are down inside the matrix are not chondroblasts. These are now chondrocytes, right? Same pattern that we used with osteoblasts become osteocytes when they're trapped. Same thing here. Chondroblasts, once they become trapped in the matrix, become chondrocytes. Now, what's interesting about cartilage is that there's no chondroclasts. Okay? There are only chondroblasts and chondrocytes. Now, can you guess what that means for the development and the growth of cartilage? Yeah, you can make more and more of it, but you can't take it away, can you? Right? It grows, it can grow, but it can't remodel. You can't remake it. You can't take it away. It is what it is. And it grows over a lifetime. Right? Typically, as people get older and older and older, many of their cartilage structures continue to grow. So elderly people often have bigger ears than they had when they're younger, or bigger noses than they had when they were younger. Because there's no chondroclasts. There are no cells to stop the growth of cartilage, to remake the cartilage. Cartilage typically does not bear weight like bone does. So there are many different purposes for cartilage, and so it doesn't operate and change in the same way, right? So, there are no chondroclasts, right? Cartilage grows continually. It doesn't remodel. Now, cartilage, too, can grow because you have this softer cartilage matrix, this ground substance matrix. Cartilage can grow both inside and out. You don't just add layers to the outside. You can do that. This picture from your textbook sort of illustrates that. Here's the cartilage matrix with the chondrocytes down in the matrix. But notice that there's also an outside membrane here. Just like there's one over the bone, there's one over cartilage. And see the same pattern here? Remember, the membrane over the bone was periosteum, so this is going to be pericondrium, right? Same pattern. That's the membrane, the fibrous membrane covering cartilage. Oh, there is an H. That's my fault. Misspelling. Yeah. Right? And just like it is in the Latin, CH is a K sound, isn't it? Right? But like the periosteum of the bone, remember we said the periosteum of the bone has a layer of osteoblasts under it, right? So the pericondria of the bone is going to have a layer of chondroblasts, right under there. And this is what is called appositional growth, where new cartilage is added to the surface of the cartilage by chondroblasts just under the perichondrium. So the cartilage can get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, typically the growth of cartilage is very slow, though, compared to bone. And here would be the concepts of vascular and avascular. Do you remember those two words? We used them earlier in the class. Vascular means there are blood vessels, right? Lots of blood supply. Avascular? None. Now, we saw bone tissue is very vascular, isn't it? Lots of blood vessels running through bone tissue. No blood vessels running through cartilage. So what would you guess about the growth of cartilage? Slow. Because there aren't a lot of resources. Resources have to just leak in through the outside. So everything in cartilage is slow. Okay, very slow growth. But what's interesting about cartilage, too, is that it doesn't just grow by adding more ground substance at the surface. That can actually happen down inside, what they call interstitial growth. New cartilage is formed within the cartilage as chondrocytes divide and produce additional matrix. So you can make cartilage swell from the inside out. Bone does not do that because it's hard and mineralized and calcified. If you want to change bone, you've got to have cells to take it away and add new stuff in. But cartilage, because it remains soft, can swell, can grow both by adding more to the outside, but by building more from the inside as well. So cartilage is different in that way. But always remember that this is avascular tissue, so it's a very slow rate of growth, all in all. Okay? And then remember that that tissue, that cartilage tissue, builds into these three types. Remember, there's hyaline cartilage, right? This is the smoothest type because the fibers are very, very small. They're collagen, so that it has some strength to it. And the most typical place to locate this is in the joints, the movable joints in the human body are all lined with hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage forms the growth plates in bones. Elastic cartilage, right? Most obvious place is your ears. Very little other elastic cartilage in the body, but ears is key. And then remember, there's fibrocartilage, and the vertebral discs are really the most common place to locate that. It's the toughest type, supports the weight of the body, works with the bones. So 3 types of cartilage tissue, and basically they're different because of the amount of fiber that's in each one and the type of fiber in each one. And these tissues then are typically a part of the growth and development of other kinds of organs. There are very few examples of an entire organ that we would think of as being cartilage. Cartilage is usually just one of those tissues that's a part of some other kind of organ. The one example that you'd have here would be the voice box, what's called your larynx, right here, just at the opening of the tube that leads down into your lungs. You have a structure here that's made out of 6 cartilages. And so almost the entire structure, there's some connective tissues in there. There's a bone that sits above it that helps it, but is not really a part of it. But this would be the one organ that you could say is mostly cartilage, a cartilaginous organ. So cartilage has very few examples like this. It's usually that cartilage is just one of those extra tissues in an organ. Okay? And that's how you think of cartilage. Okay? That's how cartilage fits into this whole picture of the skeletal system. Some similarities to bone, but it's unique little things. Only 2 types of cells form 3 types of tissues with the help of osteoblasts, and those tissues then married into other organs. So, any questions about cartilage? We good there?